Hi, this is Corey Franklin with Remembering the Past, the show where we talk about people who've died recently who've had a profound effect on our history, our society, or our culture. Tonight we're going to start out with Dean Jeffries, who died recently at the age of 80, and he was Hollywood's car guy. He painted them, he customized them, and he drove them as a stuntman. Dean Jeffries worked on a lot of the cars that you see in movies and TV, including the Monkey Mobile, the Green Hornet's Black Beauty, Steve McQueen's car and Bullet, a lot of those beach blanket cars that you see in the 60s movies, and the Blues Brothers car. Here's a report on Dean Jeffries.
It's in these hills that some of Hollywood's most outrageous ideas are born. And this is the man that brought many of them to life. Dean Jeffries has styled and designed cars for Hollywood's movies and its stars for almost 3 decades. Cars like the Green Hornet's Black Beauty. And he's worked with stars like Steve McQueen, Gary Cooper, Sean Connery, and yes, even the Monkees.
I kind of knew how to build a good, strong roll cage in a car and how to make a car survive and things like that. And that helped me in the motion picture industry.
An industry where he's designed everything from outer space vehicles to down-in-the-dirt four-wheelers.
Michael Douglas came to me and said he's doing a picture called Romancing the Stone. Ford gave me the Broncos. We got 3 of them, built them up. 2 of them were super stunt type vehicles with full cages in it, and the other one was more like a picture car. It was just strictly for cameras, mounts all the way around on it, any place you want to put a camera, real quick like. Basically, we had a lot of fun with them. Powerful little vehicle, did some crazy things too. I had to do a jump over a river, 118 feet over a river. So I think that's my last jump that I want to do. I don't want to do any more than.
Being swept up into filmmaking is exciting for Dean, but it's also dangerous. Like his stunt role in Honky Tonk Freeway.
They wanted me to jump a truck over a blown out freeway section or a blown out road section. That's the way they put it to me. We get there and it turns out it's a giant freeway to blow 80, 90 feet across there. Then they hand me a truck that is a 5-ton truck, and I was thinking of maybe a half-ton or a 3/4 or even a ton truck. The movie industry is very notorious for things like that. They don't really explain 100% until you're right there. But it was quite a challenge. It was a challenge to me to do it, big challenge, and to prove that something like that could be done and what it took mechanical to make it work. I don't think I'd ever want to do it again, though, for sure.
And for good reason. Dean broke his back in that jump.
All the time, still never dawned on me how really dangerous this was or that it even could be done.
Danger or not, this Hollywood stylist is still in big demand. Steven Spielberg recently hired him to design and build the huge streetcar used in Roger Rabbit. The same mind that conjured up this futuristic car created this desert walker used in the movie Damnation Alley. He hasn't decided what to do with this piece of celluloid history, but he keeps it and other relics like it around. That's because, unlike most Hollywood mirrors, these works reflect for Dean Jeffries a passionate lifestyle time just can't touch.
Well, you may have heard that Dean Jeffries also worked for some of the stars, and one of the stars he worked for was James Dean. You may or may not know that James Dean was set to become Hollywood's biggest star in the 1950s. He'd done 3 movies, East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause, and Giant, and he also liked to race cars. He asked Dean Jeffries to paint his Porsche 550 Spider with the number 130 and the name Little Bastard on it, which was James Dean's nickname. Right after the filming of Giant, James Dean was taking his car through Bakersfield, and he was killed in a T-bone accident where he was speeding. The irony is he had just finished filming a personal service announcement for teenagers on how not to speed. Here is James Dean with Gig Young doing the personal service announcement. Gig Young also had his problems, by the way. And this is literally weeks before James Dean himself was killed.
Ladies and gentlemen, James Dean. Hi, Jimmy.
Hi, Gig.
We asked Jimmy over today because he's a racing man himself. A real one, not a crazy one. Incidentally, I think I should explain that Jimmy just stepped over from the set of Giant. And need I add, he plays a Texan. Speaking of racing, have you ever been in a drag race?
Are you kidding me?
I just thought I'd ask. No, Jim races in the tradition, you might say. Real racing cars, real tracks. How fast will your car go?
An honest miles an hour. Clocked. It run about
106, 7.
You've won a few races, haven't you?
Oh, 1 or 2. Well, I showed pretty good at Palm Springs. I ran a Bakersfield.
Jimmy, we probably have a great many young people watching our show tonight, and for their benefit, I'd like your opinion about fast driving on the highway. Do you think it's a good idea?
That's a good point. I used to fly around quite a bit. A lot of unnecessary chances on the highways. And I started racing, and now I drive on the highways, and I'm extra cautious. Because no one knows what they're doing. Half the time, you don't know what this guy's going to do with that one. On a track, there are a lot of men who spend a lot of time developing rules and ways of safety. I find myself being very cautious on the highway. I don't have the urge to speed on the highway. People say racing is dangerous, but I'll take my chances on the track any day than on a highway. Well, Gig, I think I'd better take off.
Oh, wait a minute, Jimmy. One more question. Do you have any special advice for the young people who drive?
Take it easy driving. Life, you might say, might be mine.
As I said, he was killed only a couple of weeks later after that, and the driver who T-boned him walked away from the accident ironically. Our subject tonight, Dean Jeffries, was a minor footnote in that famous 1950s traffic accident. We're going to make a brief mention of Jack Butler, who was a great defensive back for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 1950s. Jack Butler died recently at the age of 85, and he's a Steeler immortal. He was drafted out of St. Bonaventures, and he may have been drafted out of St. Bonaventures by mistake by the Steelers. And in the 1950s, the Steelers weren't a great team, but it was his hard-nosed defense. He was one of the leading tacklers and leading interceptors in the league that set the tone for the later Pittsburgh Steeler teams of the 1970s that were known for their defense. He was named to Canton to the Hall of Fame, and here's a little bit of Jack Butler's speech.
I have a lot to be thankful for. I was born with the talent to play football, had the motivation to become the best player that I could, and I also was fortunate enough to play in the great city of champions, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I never envisioned being here in Canton. This induction is the highest honor I have achieved in my professional career.
Jack Butler, 4-time NFL Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-NFL. We're going to close tonight with our main subject, Dr. Joyce Brothers, who died recently at the age of 85. Dr. Joyce was a nice Jewish girl out of Brooklyn who went on to become one of the top TV psychologists and TV personalities of our era. Here's Diane Sawyer on ABC reporting on the death of Dr. Joyce Brothers.
Dr. Joyce Brothers has died long before Dr. Phil and Oprah. She introduced the nation to advice on love and marriage, plain-spoken wisdom like, quote, marriage is not just spiritual communion, it's also about remembering to take out the trash. She also shot to fame on a game show, the $64,000 question, the only woman ever to win the top prize. Brothers was 85.
Dr. Brothers was a brilliant young woman. She came out of education in New York City and came out of Columbia. She had a fantastic memory. She had a fantastic mind. And here with her mother and her daughter, she talks with Regis Philbin about how she went into psychology.
All right, all this week we've been presenting you famous people and their mothers, and today we have a triple threat here. We have Dr. Joyce Brothers, of course, you've met on this show and many other shows many times over the years, and her mother, Estelle Bauer, and her daughter, Dr. Lisa Arbison. It's nice to have you on the show. Lisa is an ophthalmologist, eye surgeon, and your mom is an attorney?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. So we have three professional ladies here.
Indeed. It's quite unusual for someone of Mom's generation to be full-time paycheck woman as well as a homemaker.
Still practicing.
In a way.
Well, good for you. Did you want your daughter to be an attorney? Did you have any aspirations for that?
Oh, no. Joyce. I'll call her Joyce. It's my daughter.
Sure.
Oh, well, why don't you just call me Dr. Brothers?
I'll be talking about Joyce made up her own mind as she went along. And we went along with her.
Yes. She decided to study psychology and then went into
When
that
it's practical.
full time.
Can I tell you the truth?
Sure.
My dad was an attorney before his death. My mother and my dad talked rings around me. So I knew I could never go into anything where I had to talk. So I decided, since I liked people, I had to listen. I'd be a psychologist.
Well, when she came out of Columbia, she might have gone on to become an academic psychologist, but her husband was a medical resident at the time and they needed money. So to get money for the struggling young couple, she decided to go on a TV game show. Remember, in those days, all the TV game shows were based out of New York. She decided to go on the $64,000 question. That's what our $99,000 question Honeymooner show is based on. And as Diane Sawyer said, she was the first female winner of the $64,000. What Diane Sawyer didn't tell you was the category that Dr. Joyce Brothers won in. She chose boxing, and she was a boxing expert. And here she is from 1955.
Doc, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Hal.
Are you all set to practice your psychology on me again?
Oh, I wish I could, but I have enough trouble just practicing it on myself.
Well, what exactly are you afraid of? Me, the people out there, the microphone?
None of those things. I'm afraid of the unknown.
What's the unknown?
The unknown are the questions you're going to ask me.
You hear me and see me, Joyce?
Yes, I can.
Ready for your $16,000 question.
Hope so.
Okay, may I have it, please? First, what referee holds the record for the greatest number of heavyweight championship fights?
Arthur Donovan.
Name the man Bobo Olson fought in his tribe for the light heavyweight title.
He fought Archie Moore.
Archie Moore is your first answered part. The year and the city in which he fought?
1955, New York City.
1955, New York City is your answer. And the outcome of this fight and the number of rounds it went will complete your $64,000 question.
Knockout in the third round. Third round knockout.
I need to know
the winner.
Archie
Moore knocked out Bobo Olson in the third round.
Archie Moore was the winner by a knockout in the third round is your final answer. Tommy, here's the situation. The audience knows whether she's right or wrong. You have to decide for yourself. If you think all of her answers are right, accept them. If you think any part of her answer or answers is wrong, challenge her. And I don't need to tell you to be very careful. There's a lot of money at stake. For $64,000, Tommy Logren, do you accept or do you challenge those answers?
I accept all but the last answer. I think it was the fourth round that Olson was knocked out in.
In other words, you would challenge on the basis that Olson lost in the fourth round, if I understand you correctly. Do I? I'm very sorry, Tommy. You have challenged a correct answer. That means that you miss, and Joyce Brothers is right, and the winner at $64,000. Joyce Brothers.
A few years later, when they had all those quiz show scandals, they called her in. They thought she might have been cheating, but she wasn't. She knew all those answers, and that launched her television career. She got a TV show in New York City, and eventually she went on, like Jonathan Winters, to become a late-night staple. She was great with the late-night host. Here she is with a young Johnny Carson.
She has her own daily television program here on NBC New York. She has a newspaper column in some 110 papers around the country, so I would like you to welcome Dr. Joyce Brothers. Now, Doctor, just what is your problem? Just once, I wanted to start that way. You look very nice tonight.
Thank you.
You've been listening to all of these questions and answers because we kind of got hung up on various reasons, and Risa had questions, and I had questions.
I've been listening, and there are a number of things I'd like to comment on.
Yes. This could be group therapy tonight.
For example, this idea of beefcake. It just won't work, I believe. Dr. Kinsey, for example, found that over 50% of men were interested in pictures of nude women, but less than 12% of women were interested in pictures of men. So that it isn't.
And there's your 12%.
She was sort of half TV celebrity, half real doctor. She would dispense advice mostly about sex and relationships. Here she is on the Merv Griffin Show with Peter Lorre.
Charming, lovely-looking girl. Informative.
Oh,
all
girl.
welcome. Huh?
Girl.
A girl,
Yes,
yes. I certainly hope so after that introduction, Peter. Here's Dr. Joyce Brothers.
That's pretty color.
Thank you. It's
Shocking.
light pink and a dark pink.
Yeah, and a shocking pink there, Joyce.
We were listening backstage to you and Mr. Lorre talk about these tough guys.
How we doing?
And Mr. Benny commented that all of the screen tough actors were really very gentle souls.
And it's Jack Benny who's tough off the screen.
I think this is true. Many men who play in public the tough guy, fighters, for example, when you meet them in person, are the gentlest of people. And I think men of this nature have a chance to work out all of their hostilities and aggressions and it leaves them soft and pleasant. And
one of the things the obits didn't talk about is what a great sense of humor she had coming from Brooklyn, and that made her a great straight man. Here she is with George Carlin on The Tonight Show.
They've taken a human cell and a carrot cell and fused them. It's done for important purposes. That is, they're studying chromosomes and changes in cells for cancer studies. But the very fact that there is such a thing, it amuses me. And also the cells, the plant cells are very similar to human cells, and the human carrot has sex hormones, which surprises many.
Does the carrot have to get up in the middle of the night and take a salad?
She could hold her own with the top comedians. Here she is in a semi-serious conversation with Jerry Seinfeld.
Once I heard a story about a couple who had decision-making down to a science. The wife said that she makes the minor decisions and he makes the major decisions. She decides where the kids will go to school, what kind of car to buy, and how to invest their savings. He decides how we can get rid of the national debt, what we should do about the Middle East, who should quarterback for the Rams next season. How long before you met your fiancée, how long after you met your fiancée, did you actually propose to her? Was it a long?
No, it wasn't. It was 4 months. I think I knew right away. I didn't know who she was, but I got the feeling. It was like a soulful feeling of someone inside that I had always wanted to meet. And I didn't know the outside, but I felt if that was good too, that it would definitely be.
I don't quite understand. You say you didn't meet her, or did you see her afar? Or
No, I met her, but I mean, I knew as soon as I met her that I wanted to marry her, but it was 4 months until I finally proposed.
You notice her talking about the Rams there. Of course, when TV moved out to Hollywood, she moved out to Hollywood with it. She became a Southern California television personality. She did a lot of guest shots playing herself. Here she does, along with a nice Jewish boy from New York City who moved out to California too, Henry Winkler, as the Fonz in Happy Days.
Now, about the dog. Various studies have shown that many animals are treated as actual family members. For this reason, the added responsibility given the pet has made him assimilate various and sundry Homo sapien traits and neuroses.
Hey, those are my thoughts exactly.
Well, as I said, she could have been one of those serious Columbia psychologists, but she had fun in television. She dispensed some good advice, and she never took herself too seriously. And what's the pinnacle of not taking yourself too seriously on television? A guest shot on The Simpsons where she makes fun of herself.
Tonight on Smartline, the power plant strike. Argle bargle or foofara? With us tonight are plant owner C.M. Burns, union kingpin Homer Simpson, and talk show mainstay Dr. Joyce Brothers.
I brought my own mic.
In case you had any questions about Joyce Brothers, that tells you all you need to know. But she did dispense some good advice in her newspaper columns and in her books. And on television, she could occasionally be serious when she wasn't doing a game show or a sitcom. The thing that people forgot about her later in her career when she'd been on TV all these times is what a brilliant woman she really was. I'm going to close on that note. I want to thank my producer, Sid Tepps. In closing tonight, we had to pick a song that would embody Joyce Brothers' career, so I went with a great song from Eric Burdon and the Animals. Joyce Brothers' career was about understanding people, so I picked out "Oh Lord, Please Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood." It's a really good tune, and it's a nice final tribute to Dr. Joyce Brothers.
Baby, do you understand me now? Sometimes I feel a little mad. Don't you know that no one alive can always be an angel? When things go wrong, I seem to be bad. I'm just a soul whose intentions are good. Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood.
Well, we have to wrap up things in our neighborhood today as we're out of time. It's time to say goodbye for now, and that's one of my frustrations in life. In all of the other languages, when you say goodbye, it's never final. It's always until we meet again or until the next time. So I hate to say goodbye, but in our language, it's goodbye.